Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie Terrifier 3 in English, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Friends, in today's video, the movie we're going to talk about is called Terrifier. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch. All the interesting about this movie in today's video. I'm going to tell you. I am also going to give you all the information on which I request you friends to watch this video till the end. So let's start the video. Terrifier 3 is a 2024 American Christmas supernatural slasher film written and directed by Damien Leone and starring Lauren LaVera, David Howard Thornton, Elliott Fullam, Samantha Scafidi, Antonella Rose, Margaret Ann Florence, and Bryce Johnson. On the days leading up to Christmas, the story follows Sienna Shaw as she attempts to rebuild her life. At the same time, Art the Clown is pursuing her alongside his new accomplice, a possessed Victoria Hayes. It is the sequel to Terrifier 2, 2022, and is the third installment in the Terrifier franchise. Following the critical and commercial success of Terrifier 2, Leone began writing for the third film with plans for an overarching narrative. Leone wanted to feature Victoria more prominently, as he regretted leaving the character underdeveloped in the first film. Principal photography began in February 2024 on a $2 million budget and wrapped that April. Terrifier 3 premiered at Fantastic Fest in Austin, Texas, on September 19, 2024, and was theatrically released in the United States on October 11, 2024. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and has grossed $35 million, becoming the highest-grossing film of the franchise. Plot: after being decapitated by Sienna Shaw, Art the Clown's headless body kills a cop and makes its way to the asylum, where survivor Victoria Hayes, now possessed by the little pale girl, has just given birth to his head. They kill a nurse and a guard before fleeing to an abandoned house. Victoria smashes her face into a bathroom mirror, using a shard of broken glass to slit her wrists, entering hibernation in a bathtub. While Art sits in a rocking chair in the attic, the two become dormant. 5 years later, Sienna is released from a mental health center to stay with her Aunt Jess, who lives with her husband Greg and their daughter Gabby, who idolizes Sienna but has no knowledge of the events she endured. Sienna is suffering from survivor guilt and frequently has hallucinations of her deceased best friend Brooke, whose death she feels responsible for. She struggles to reconnect with her younger brother Jonathan, who is now in college trying to move on with his life. Art and Victoria are woken from their slumber when two demolition workers stumble upon them in the house. The duo kills the workers and Victoria begins working on a costume, while Art ventures off on another killing spree. Art meets a Santa Claus impersonator at a bar, shoots the bartender and another patron, puts on his Santa costume, and murders him using liquid nitrogen and a hammer. Art invades the home of a family dressed as Santa and brutally murders them with an axe a few nights before Christmas. Art then impersonates a Santa at a local shopping mall and uses explosives disguised as gifts to slaughter several shoppers, including children. Sienna thinks she sees Art at the mall in disguise before the explosion, but does not tell her family since she thinks they would not believe her. Sienna visits Jonathan at his university, where she meets Jonathan's roommate Cole and his girlfriend Mia, who hosts a true crime podcast. Mia pressures Sienna and Jonathan to participate in an interview about the Miles County massacre, but Sienna lashes out. Sienna confesses to Jonathan that she thinks Art is still alive, and shows Jonathan the letters he wrote to her while she was in the psychiatric hospital, which state that demons can be reborn through a host, like Victoria. She also tells Jonathan she plans to return to the Terrifier haunted attraction to retrieve her father's sword. Art arrives at the university and kills Mia and Cole with a chainsaw while they are having sex in the showers. Sienna learns about the mall killings on the news and panics. Greg leaves to collect Jonathan while Sienna falls asleep. She dreams about angels crafting the armor from her warrior costume that her father drew for her. She wakes and heads downstairs to find Art and Victoria now dressed in a clown costume, and Art incapacitates her with a mallet. As Sienna regains consciousness, she sees Greg's decapitated body pinned to the wall, with his head as the star on their Christmas tree, and Jess tied up across from her. Victoria shows them a skinless head being consumed by rats, telling her it is Gabby's. Art kills Jess by hammering a tube into her mouth, forcing the rats down it with a blowtorch, then slitting her throat. Art suddenly enters with Gabby as a hostage, and Victoria reveals to Sienna that the head is Jonathan's. Victoria places a crown of thorns on Sienna's head and tries to possess her, but she resists and manages to open a Christmas present she wrapped, stabbing Victoria with its contents, her father's sword. Sienna decapitates Victoria, who disintegrates. Art attacks Sienna with his chainsaw, but she gains the upper hand. Victoria's blood burns through the floor and creates a portal to hell. Gabby falls in and holds onto the edge. Sienna leaves Art behind to save her, but Gabby falls into the abyss with the sword. Art flees through a window and escapes on a bus, while Sienna vows to find and rescue Gabby. Cast David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown. Lauren LaVera as Sienna Shaw, Jonathan's older sister and the one who decapitated Art in the previous film. Luciana. Elisa Quiñones as young Sienna Elliott Fullam as Jonathan Shaw, Sienna's younger brother who is now in college. Samantha Scafidi as Victoria Hayes, the older sister of Tara Hayes and the sole survivor of the events of the first film, who becomes possessed by the little pale girl and acts as Art's partner in crime. Margaret Ann Florence as Jess Shaw, Sienna and Jonathan's aunt, who is the older sister of their mother. Barbara Bryce Johnson as Greg Shaw, Jess's husband and Gabby's father. Antonella Rose as Gabby Shaw. Jess and Greg's daughter who idolizes Sienna, Chris Jericho as Burke, an orderly in the Miles County Psychiatric Hospital. Daniel Roebuck as Santa Claus, Tom Savini as a bystander. Jason Patrick as Michael Shaw, Sienna and Jonathan's father who died of cancer when they were young. Chrissy Fox as Jennifer Alexa Blair. Robertson as Mia, Cole's girlfriend and a true crime enthusiast obsessed with the Miles County Massacre. Mason McCarthy as Cole. Jonathan's dorm mate Stephen Cofield Jr. as Officer Evans, Clint Howard as Smokey, Annie Letterman as Graven. Image co-host Bradley Stryker as Eddie, John Abrahams as Dennis, Phil Falcone as Tom the bus driver, Kaylee Hyman as Brooke, Sienna's deceased best friend who appeared as a hallucination to haunt her, John Sanders as the demon voice. Production. This film featured the character of Victoria Hayes, the heroine turned villainess of Terrifier, 2016, in a much more prominent role compared to the 2016 film and its 2022 sequel, with Damien Leone's biggest regret with the first film being leaving her underdeveloped. The original ending of Terrifier 2 set up Victoria's demise in the opening of this film, but Leone deemed it to be too similar to the concept of Malignant, 2021. While conceptualizing the birthing scene, he decided he wanted to keep Victoria alive and give her significant character development, as he enjoyed working with Samantha Scafidi. In December 2023, it was confirmed that Chris Jericho was set to appear in Terrifier 3. In April 2024, it was confirmed that Daniel Roebuck was set to appear as Santa Claus in Terrifier 3. In May 2024, it was announced that Tom Savini was set to appear in Terrifier 3. In June 2024, it was announced that Jason Patrick was set to appear in Terrifier 3. In July 2024, it was announced that Antonella Rose, Chrissy Fox, Clint Howard, and John Abrahams were set to appear in Terrifier 3. In May 2023, it was announced that Terrifier 3 was expected to begin filming in November or December 2023. Principal photography began in February 2024 and wrapped in April 2024. With additional scenes completed in New York until early mid-June. Leone chose to shoot the film using Panavision anamorphic lenses with the intention of making the film look like a vintage John Carpenter movie. The film cost $2 million to produce, up from its predecessor's $250,000 budget. Variety described the budget as still wildly low by Hollywood standards. Release. The film was theatrically released in the United States on October 11, 2024, by Cineverse, who acquired distribution rights in June 2023, setting it for a wide release with an exclusive streaming debut on its Screambox service. It was originally scheduled for October 25, but was moved forward to its new date in May 2024. The film premiered on opening night at the 2024 Fantastic Fest on September 19th. In select AMC theaters, the film played as a double feature with Terrifier 2, followed by a music video presentation of the film's official song, A Work of Art by Ice Nine Kills, featuring System of a Down bassist Shavo Odagian. The song was released as a single in tandem with the film's theatrical release on October 11th. Cineverse spent under $5 million to acquire and market the film. Advertising costs were $500,000, as the film was largely marketed to Cineverse's Bloody Disgusting fan base and 80 million streaming subscribers across 30 channels, and additional costs to acquire rights were covered by a loan of at most $3.67 million, with the lender receiving 15% of royalties, capped at $6.4 million. It was never submitted for a Motion Picture Association rating to avoid an NC-17 rating. Box office. As of October 18, 2024, Terrifier 3 has grossed $29.9 million in the United States and Canada, and $5.4 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $35.3 million. In the United States and Canada, Terrifier 3 was projected to gross $10 to $11 million from 2,514 theaters in its opening weekend, with one estimate by Box Office Pro at $12 to $18 million. The film made $8.2 million on its first day, including an estimated $2.6 million from Thursday night previews. It debuted to $18.9 million, topping the box office. As an indie film, Terrifier 3 notably placed ahead of DC Comics' holdover Joker, Folie à Deux. According to The Hollywood Reporter, theater chains treated the unrated film as an R-rated film, turning down attendees 17 or younger if unaccompanied by a parent or guardian. Two distribution sources speculated that more people saw the film than reported, theorizing that a noticeable bump in the earnings for The Wild Robot that weekend was the result of teenagers buying tickets to The Wild Robot and then sneaking into screenings of Terrifier 3. The trend continued into the film's first Monday, during which it earned $2.6 million, bringing its four-day total to $21.5 million. In France, the film opened #1 box office on its first day with 45,000 admissions, more than other horror films like Saw X, 35,000, and Smile, 33,000. In Poland, Terrifier 3 sold nearly 140,000 tickets during its opening weekend. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 74% of 92 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.5/10. The website's consensus reads, "Taking an axe to Yuletide cheer and everything else in its path, Terrifier 3 is a bloody fantastic stocking stuffer for the holiday season." Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 61 out of 100, based on 18 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A+ to F scale, while those surveyed by PostTrack gave it a 76% overall positive score, with 59% saying they would definitely recommend it. Writing for Slant Magazine, Rocco T. Thompson described the storyline as being half-formed, but praised the leading performances and the practical effects. Thompson highlighted Scaffidi's performance in particular. It's the surprisingly spooky Victoria Hayes who emerges as the film's villain MVP, what with the overwhelming art often playing second banana in their scenes together. Through it all, Scaffidi exudes a chilling sense of evil from beneath pounds of prosthetics. Thompson also noted that LaVera brought emotional intensity to the narrative in her portrayal. In a review for the Austin Chronicle, Richard Whitaker highlighted the film's continued world-building, the transgressiveness of the art character, and Victoria's expanded importance as a villain in the series. Similarly, Matthew Jackson of the AV Club praised the script and the performances of Thornton and LaVera. Jackson stated that LaVera cements herself as one of horror's brightest new stars with her second time out as Sienna Shaw. In a positive review for IndieWire, Alison Foreman highlighted the script as confident and comfortable. She praised the development of both Sienna and Victoria, describing the latter as Leone's secret weapon. Foreman states that the film gives the two characters plenty of story to carry. International responses. France's classification committee banned viewers under the age of 18 from seeing the film, the first time such a ban had been issued since the release of Saw 3 in 2006. There were also reports of audiences vomiting and leaving theaters after watching the film's opening scene in the United Kingdom. Another report consisted of 2 people passing out during a screening of the film in Australia. Sequel: in 2023, Damien Leone spoke about plans for a potential Terrifier 4. In September of 2024, Leone confirmed that Terrifier 4 was in development. The Terrifier franchise has been a fascinating industry story, a series of extremely low-budget and ridiculously gory horror features that prove that not every genre fan wants elevated horror. Sometimes you just want a splatterfest, and Damien Leone undeniably provides that, trying to top his own carnage with each gruesome murder, gleefully loving the fact that people have reportedly puked and/or passed out at screenings. Some aspects of these films are impressive, most notably the wicked makeup effects and an underrated physical performance from David Howard Thornton. But Terrifier 3 feels like a lateral move at best after the notable improvement in filmmaking from the first to the second chapter. Leone continues to grow as a filmmaker, and there's something interesting about watching that unfold throughout the franchise. But his screenwriting continues to let him down, jumbling his concepts with shallow mythology, atrocious dialogue, and ridiculous padding, leading to another film in this series that pushes over 2 hours. I'm still rooting for Leone to figure it out, but it's not in this one. The best idea that Leone had in the production of Terrifier 3 was to set it around Christmas, allowing the filmmaker to play with the iconography of the era, including putting the murderous Art the Clown, Thornton, in a Santa suit for most of his rampage. Leone's playfulness with holiday scenes and his subversion of religious imagery feel like something that a smarter screenwriter could really use for greater impact. Still, even if it's just superficial here, it makes for some striking visuals. A chainsaw-wielding, sunglasses-wearing Santa in clown makeup definitely keeps your attention. Terrifier 3 picks up after the ridiculous end of the last film, in which the scarred Victoria, Samantha Scafidi, literally gave birth to the severed head of Art. Don't ask. One of the things I liked about the second chapter was how it dove into the surreal and supernatural, understanding that this kind of thing plays better like a nightmare than a film in which all the plot points have to connect. So, do we need to understand how Art gets his head reattached to his body? Not really. He just does. Art and Victoria shack up in an abandoned home while final girl Sienna, Lauren LaVera, tries to deal with the trauma enacted by the last film. She returns from a psychiatric hospital to live with her Aunt Jessica, Margaret Ann Florence, her husband Greg, Bryce Johnson, and their kid Gabby, Antonella Rose, who is clearly in this film just to be put in harm's way, or maybe Art's way. Sienna's brother Jonathan, Elliott Fullam, is in college dealing with his own PTSD, but this too is merely an excuse for more victims for Art to skin alive. To say that the plotting in Terrifier 3 is thin would be an understatement, and yet there's so much of it. Scene after scene of Sienna talking about her trauma unfold in a manner that I feel is almost designed to make you desperate to watch another Art the Clown act of cruelty, just to alleviate the boredom. And cruel they are. Much has already been made of the kill scenes in Terrifier 3, and how blatantly they're trying to push the boundaries of taste more than even the first 2 controversial films. They're so over-the-top ridiculous in their design and execution that I don't really take them seriously. Still, I wouldn't argue with anyone offended by a movie that is willing to go where this one does, which is not just to mutilation and torture, but across boundary lines that even most horror fans maintain, including the deaths of children. So why not write off Terrifier 3 entirely? 2 reasons. 1, the DIY aspect of the film reminds me of genre flicks I loved when I first discovered the genre, and one of the reasons I still love horror. It doesn't gatekeep like other genres, allowing anyone with the right passion to make a movie like this for reportedly under $2 million, a number it will cross in profit before school is out on Friday. 2, Thornton is legitimately phenomenal, giving what is a very physical performance that's more reminiscent of silent comedy than modern horror. And adding Victoria to chatter away reduces the silent killer's tension in this one. Don't do that for the 4th film again, Damien. So, while Leone and his maniacal alter ego still have some work to do, mostly in the writing department, I'm going to keep rooting for Terrifier to figure it out. After all, everybody loves a clown. Terrifier 3. was something straight out of a horror movie. 11 audience members walked out of the theater, 9 during the opening scene, and 1 onlooker lost their lunch watching the latest escapades of series mascot Art the Clown, played by David Howard Thornton. While a screening like this would spell disaster for some, producer Phil Falcone celebrated the extreme reactions as testament to the hard work of Leone and special effects lead Christian Tinsley. "It's a slasher gore film with practical effects," Falcone said. "So if you're getting people to vomit and leave the theater and they went there for horror, that's a pretty good job, I'd say." Leone's latest installment sees the bloodthirsty Harlequin spreading Christmas cheer and fear to Terrifier Scream Queen Sienna Shaw, Lauren LaVera, and the rest of the Miles County residents. Produced for $2 million, $1.7 million more than the first 2 films combined. Terrifier 3 serves up the franchise's most vicious and complex kills. But before the blood can spill, Thornton needs an hour and a half in the makeup chair to transform into the killer clown. A makeup artist first preps his skin and then glues on a rubber face mask, which sets the base for Art's grotesque features. Then 2 sets of eyebrow tattoos are added before the black eye and lip makeup are applied. Tinsley emphasized the most difficult part of Art's makeup was dealing with black and white and everything, adding that every mistake will show if it's not done correctly. As for his prosthetic teeth, Thornton wore the same pair for almost a decade before Tinsley made him fresh ones for Terrifier 3. David, God bless him, has been wearing the same set of teeth for 8 years. Every time they broke or cracked, they just fixed them. I said, well, let me make you some new teeth. Terrifier 3's opening scene shows Art making quick work of a young family dressed as Old Saint Nick. In the scene's climax, Art lops the mother's arm off with an axe before delivering a final blow to her head. Unlike other horrors, Leone, who serves as editor and director, refuses to cut away at the point of impact, giving the audience a complete and scarily realistic view of the carnage. Tinsley explained that Leone shot a fake body in profile and had Thornton swing down just before impact. He then cut and shifted the camera to a 3/4 shot and swapped the fake body with the actress wearing an arm prosthetic. Leone then captured Thornton slicing through the fake arm with the axe, and when it's edited together, it looks like they just saw an axe come through in one swipe and cut off an arm, when actually you're looking at it from 2 entirely different angles, Tinsley said. Our brains tie this all together and make it feel like one. Another standout set piece is the bar sequence, where Art ties an off-duty mall Santa, Daniel Roebuck, to a chair and freezes his limbs with liquid nitrogen before smashing them to bits. Tinsley said Leone was very particular about how he wanted the effect to look. The 42-year-old director did not want the limbs to shatter like glass, but instead act like a block of ice, where parts turn into dust, but still stays solid. He took it one step further, and he goes, but the inside shouldn't be frozen, because the freezing only goes so far, and the core of any living thing is still going to be warm and fresh, Tinsley recalled. So not only were we building a concept of how to create something that can break, not shatter or crumble, but also still ooze goo from the center. With the help of special effects artist Mark Killingsworth, Watchmen, Tinsley was able to reverse engineer the casting and molding process through layering bloody inner fillings with brittle outer shells. Together, they created multiple head, arm, and leg elements that could be puzzled on Roebuck's body, smashed and replaced for multiple takes. One of the final scenes shot, and the most gruesome, was the bathroom sequence, where Art takes a chainsaw to 2 unsuspecting college students having an intimate moment in a communal shower. Tinsley recalled long discussions with Leone about how the scene should play out. My whole conversation with Damien was, we have 2 naked individuals in an open room and a chainsaw, and it's in a Terrifier movie. We have to see contact, he said. We have to see a lot of body and flesh and skin. This was going to be really, really difficult. A trove of elements and prosthetics were required to pull off this impossibly complicated kill. Head elements, arm elements, chest prosthetics, fake fingers, a leg that could be ripped off, a leg that could be snapped off, and 2 full fake bodies, one of which that could be cut completely in half. If that wasn't difficult enough, each piece had to do multiple things, Tinsley explained. We had all kinds of tubes and blood bags. We had blood coming from every direction, blood hooked up to the chainsaw, blood tubes inside the body, and blood bags that were pressurized so when the chainsaw hit them, they exploded. Of everything he achieved in the 2-hour runtime of Terrifier 3, the shower scene was Tinsley's favorite. Deeming it as pure Terrifier fun, he hopes when the future generation of horror fans look back on their all-time favorite kills, his chainsaw magnum opus will be part of the conversation. I think it will have a lot of impact on the audience, which is what you're going for in a movie like this, Tinsley said. When people are sitting around saying, "Oh yeah, the kill in this movie," or "the kill in that movie," you hope somebody goes, "Oh yeah, but the shower sequence in Terrifier 3. That's what you do this movie for, so people will remember." Distributed by Circe. Release dates September 19, 2024. In Fantastic Fest, October 11, 2012. Foreign United States. Running time 125 minutes. Country United States. Language English. Budget $2 million. Box office $27.2 million. So guys, this is their review of Terrifier 3 movie and some information about it. How do you like our today's video? Please let us know by commenting, and if you like this video, please like it, share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.